Let's talk about the Canon R8. So, who should get this camera? Well, for sure, people who are looking for a full frame camera, people who are looking for to buy a new camera, not a second-hand one, and people who wants to get into Canon system. Let me show you some of the Canon cameras I've had through the years. So since 2007, I had a few of them. So this is not my first Canon camera. I might be a little bit biased because those are what I have used until now, you know. Sure, I've had some other cameras from other brands, you know, like Nikon, Fuji and Sony, but you know, the majority of my camera were Canons. No, I haven't never been sponsored by Canon, and I always bought it with my own money. Now, I want to tell you a bit about what I like about the Canon R8 and why you should get it. So first of all, I like to talk to you about image quality. So I'm pretty sure you know the specs of the camera already, and so I don't want to repeat those. You can go and looking for it on the web. The camera has a 24 megapixel sensor and is the same sensor of the R6 Mark II. So image quality actually is pretty good. If you have to crop in a lot, maybe it might not be the camera for you, and you might have to go for something like the Canon R5. Otherwise, the camera is producing some very good quality pictures. So image quality is really good. Now, what I like about Canon the most, I think, are the ergonomics. The camera, it's, you know, easy to hold. The grip, you know, it's deep enough. You don't feel uncomfortable. Sure, the body could have been a little bit bigger. The R6 and the R5 are bigger and you can hold it better. But then I added this L plate here that helps protecting the cables when I'm shooting videos. And so it makes it a little bit bulkier and I feel a little bit better holding it. So the ergonomics of this camera are really good, like most Canon cameras. And yeah, I'm used to it and I love it. Then one of the major things that I love is the ease of use. Again, maybe because I'm used to Canon, I always use Canon and I'm familiar with it. Now, even though this camera is lacking some of the buttons of the bigger brothers, right? It's still manageable, and you can just customize the buttons and use it, you know, the way you want. I got to the point where I don't really need to look at the menu anymore. I customize, you know, these few buttons here, and when I shoot, I just, you know, fiddle with it and I get to change all the parameters that I need. Now let's talk about autofocus. Well, like I told you before, this camera has a sensor of the R6 Mark II and the new dual pixel AF, which works wonders. I've been doing photo to wildlife and it's just amazing. I mean, it just tracks the eyes of the animal, even birds in flight. It's just unbelievable. Of course, every now and then it misses, but you know, it's pretty good. Now, something that not very often people talk about is the reliability of the camera, and I would say the durability. This actually, they go hand in hand. Like I showed you before, I've used a lot of Canon cameras, and so far through the years, no one had to go for repairs. No one had problems. I never have any issue. Sure, you might think, you know, you might ask, well, you had quite a few cameras, so you might not have used it that much. Some have used it more than others. So I think the 5D Mark IV, I shot maybe around 120,000 pictures, and I never had any issue. Always reliable. I could count on any Canon camera I had, and yeah, and that was fantastic. And the last thing that I want to talk about is price. Well, I think for this price, I think you can't get much better. And then again, I am not familiar with Nikons now or Sony's, right, full frame cameras, and so I can't really tell you much. But I think for this price point, you really can't get better than this. Now, the problem is you do pictures with not only the body, but you do pictures with lenses as well. So that will determine a lot how much you're going to spend. If you don't want to spend much, you can just buy, you know, cheaper lenses. Canon have EF and RF lenses. RF, you know, the L lenses are really expensive. So, you know, if you have the budget, you can buy that. Or I believe if you don't want to spend much, you can just buy those cheaper lenses like the RF 16 millimeters, 35 millimeters, 50 millimeters, and you know they don't cost much. They're fairly cheap. The quality is pretty good, and you can start with that. Then maybe a later stage you can buy maybe L lenses or whatever you want. But you have a lot of, you know, choices, so I wouldn't worry about that. Now, would I recommend this as the first camera? Probably not. Okay, if you're just starting out and you want to get into photography, I think you don't need to spend this much money. You can just get maybe, you know, a PSC camera and get, you know, some cheaper lenses to start with. Okay, maybe even second-hand lenses, or second-hand camera as well. So if you have any questions, please just leave in the comments and I will try my best to answer each and every one of you. Thank you.